Yo, yo, yo.
Woo!
We are live. We are live. Hey, what's your thought on for people that haven't do you think we'll get copyrighted on our own song if I play the song? I'm
I've
I'm
seen
I'm I'm,
crazier things happen.
I'm serious. Are you delayed?
I think it looks like I am. I don't know what's
Y-
going on there.
Yeah, I see a complete delay. It was as soon as I hit record.
Yeah, that's really bizarre. That's never happened before.
Yeah.
Hang on, hang on.
Are you on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, let me try something. I may have to come back. Hang
All
on.
right, try it if you can. Yo, 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 what is going on, everybody? Chad will be back on in a second. If you are just tuning in, drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Drop a sobriety date. Also, let me know if the stream is good or if it's laggy. Let me know. Trying to get Chad back on here in a second. Happy days, happy days. What's going on, everybody? If I see some people hopping on, when you get a second, drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Drop a sobriety date. Trying to get Chad back on the line here in a second. Say what's up. Say what's up. Say what's up. Share the live out, please. Share the live out. There we go. Share the live out, everybody. Whoa. Yo, yo, yo. What's up? I see other people hopping in. I'm going to sound like a broken record for the first 5 minutes. Drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Sobriety date. Let's add Chad back to the stream.
All right.
Are we good now?
Can you see me fine?
I can see you fine.
Okay, I got to find out how to do it from. I'm on my phone now. So
I
how do
got
I
you.
add it to my feed?
It's already on. You're already live on your feed.
Okay, perfect. All right, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah, we're already good. I can actually verify really quick by just checking your page really quick. But I'm pretty sure because it shows that you're live, or it shows that we were. Boom, 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 boom. I see people hopping in. Drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Drop a sobriety date. We want to celebrate that. Which page is it going to? Your Chad Valyear page?
Yeah, just my home Facebook page.
It shows that it shows up in my end that it's live. I just don't see it on your actual Facebook page.
Oh, that's weird.
But it shows it. Ba-bum, ba-bum, bum. Because it's
The
it's
joys of
connected.
live.
It's connected up top. Yeah, it says you are live. So
All right,
maybe it's just, yeah, it shows up on the corner that you're live. So maybe it's just a little delay.
maybe.
What's going on, everybody? Just everybody, if you're watching, please drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Drop a sobriety date and share the live out, please. Share it out. What I was trying to say, Chad, was for people that haven't heard the song, I got another speaker. I could play it, but are we going to get copywritten for playing it on the live?
Yeah. Well, if anything, it'll just come back to us. So I'll have to sue you.
Yeah. Bro, listen, that happened with Hail Mary, man. I got copywritten on my own song on Facebook.
Same. It did it with Human God.
And I'm like, this is my song. It says there were. I'm like, this is me. Like,
Well, it's like the old scenario with Creedence Clearwater Revival. When John Fogerty did Old Man Down the Road, it sounded like Run to the Jungle. And he didn't own the rights anymore to the Creedence stuff. He wrote both songs, but he got sued for sounding too much like himself.
really,
That's insane.
freaking stupid. Yeah. I'm not seeing any comments in yet. So if you guys are, just drop a comment, please. Um, we got a good show today. We're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff. There we go. David Spencer, clean and sober in the Great Northeast. Awesome. Thank you for being here, man. We're, we're gonna talk music. Are you good? Are we lagging? Or are we good?
I think we're good.
Northeast. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah,
We're
man.
gonna talk music. Are you good? Are we lagging? Or are we good? Why am I hearing a playback?
I'm good. Hold on. Sorry, man. All right, we're good now, man.
I heard a playback of my own voice, and I was like, "What's going on?"
Well, when I switched over, you're a little quiet on my phone. I can hear you. I just got to pay attention.
Are you sure? Do I need to be loud?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll scream. Do a Chad Valyear.
Listen, by the
You'll
end of
have
this
me
project,
rapping. I'll have you screaming in no time.
I was gonna say by the end of this project, we're gonna flip.
Yeah. So tell them about the new project.
Well, first let's back up to the song for people
Yeah.
that didn't know. Chad and I dropped a song, When the Lights Go Out, or the acronym WTL. No, GLO. I had to remember it.
A rainbow to go beside it with all the letters.
Yes, that dropped last Friday, and that is it's a sick rap rock vibe to it. Something I've been wanting to do for years, just never found the right person to do it with. And Chad and I, we've talked about wanting to do a song together for a minute, and it was actually crazy how the song came about, because I was already in the process of writing it, and then Chuck passed, and then you hit me up and was like, "We need to do a song," and I'm like, "Dude, it's crazy! Like, I have a song that like I'm working on, and
Perfect.
it happened to deal with everything that was going on, and it was like, and it was cool, like until the day that you sent me the hook, I knew nothing. I was telling people, I was like, I don't know what the lyrics are, I don't know what it's gonna sound like, but I trust him. I didn't know it's gonna go, but it was crazy, man, and I was just like, I don't know, and I'm excited. And we've had a really good. I mean, everybody that's gave us feedback on it's like, they're doing pretty good. What have you heard any good feedback?
Oh yeah. Well, and first and foremost, like when I feel something and I can feel it, then I know I did something well. You know what I mean? And it was like as soon as I heard that track, like right away, I was like, I wanted, you know what I mean? Like, so first of all, I threw out the idea, let's do a track together. And you already had this. And when you sent it to me, it gave me that feeling. You know what I mean? And it was like I knew we were on a timeline, like we had a certain time to have it out. And it's one of those songs that I'm 100% happy with it, but like just like all good things, they come on the spur of the moment. Now that it's done, I hear all these other things, right? And that's what prompted me to want to do more with you. Because it was like, now I hear, okay, maybe we should have done this here and done that there, and we could have done this. And I'm going like, and even you back and forth with like, yeah, I'm going to put this. I'm like, don't touch that. Don't just leave it, right? That's the musician in us. And that's the wanting to make it perfect. Right. But I think because it was so, we didn't have time to overthink it.
Right.
So I think what happened was we had to put it out, and it was just, here it is. And I think it's great. Like, I'm really happy with it. Because it's done so well on both ends. You know what I mean? Like I hear a lot of, and I hate comparisons, but I take them when they're good. Right. But I'm hearing like Linkin Park-ish, right? And I'm okay with that, man. Like I grew up with those guys, and if you want to compare us to guys that I worshiped growing up, by all means, like I'll take it, right?
Yeah, I've had people say Linkin Park. I don't know if you know of Overtime, but people that someone was like, "Dude, you remind me of Overtime," stuff like that. And no, it's cool, and I agree. Like when I was in the moment, there was stuff like, man, I really wish I could hype this up, but then and then you were just like, why don't we just leave it? And now I'm like, all right, you know what? That's actually perfect. Like, even though we could have still made it sound good, I think just the way that it is itself sounds perfect.
Well, what that does now is, so like with the new stuff, like this led to us deciding that we're going to write more music together, which I think is awesome because
so tell us
for
about
years, for years, I've had people close to me saying, why haven't you done some stuff with any rap guys? And I know a lot of rap guys. Like there's a lot of rap guys in my city that are really great. and I'm friends with most of them. But to me, it had to be sincere. So when people ask me why I make the music I make, Valyear is not top 40. It is not the popular stuff right now. It is done really well. I love my band. It's not going to change, right? But we have a demographic, and it is what it is, and I'm cool with that, because if I all of a sudden started writing what was popular or something like that, it would come off very insincere, and it would just sound like me trying to be something I'm not. I'm a rock singer, man. That's it. I'm not a vocalist. I'm not a trained professional. I'm a rock singer. That's it.
Mhm.
Right? So for me to do something like this, it had to feel right. It had to sound sincere. It had to be an honest kick at the can, right? When we did this, because it felt so natural, it prompted me to go, okay, finally I found the person I would like to do this with. Right.
Yeah.
And now, because we're going to do it this way, it's going to give us time to put some time into the songs. Like, I'm often like very envious in a good way of rap artists, because rap artists can lay that shit down in their living room. Right. A rock
Yeah.
singer slash screamer doesn't have the luxury to sit in his living room and scream his ass off.
Right.
So I have to go out to the studio where I have to lay it down. And, it costs me money when I go in the studio. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Nobody works for free. Right. So when I go in there, it's calculated. Okay. I have to be here at this time. I have to drop this much coin. This all has to happen this way. And so it's all a process for me. Right. Which allows me to dig deeper into the songwriting part of it, which always allows me to come up with something really great. So that's going to be a real benefit for us, because we're going to have time to throw things back and forth.
Right.
Hey, Jared, I think there should be a bridge here where you do something really, there's this part here that I'm hearing. Check this out, send it back. You know what I mean? There's no timeline, there's no deadline. That we
Exactly.
obviously want it done in a timely fashion,
Right.
but I want to put something out that you and I are proud of 10 years from now, when we're old and laughing our asses off about the great music we made. Right.
Absolutely.
This feels like a sincere project for me.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to
And
be a lot of fun. And if anything, you're going to get to see what's inside this fucked up head of mine, just like I'm going to see what's in your fucked up head.
yeah.
If anything,
No,
we're going to get really close, or we're going to get really distant.
nah. I no, like I've been doing music 20 years, man. Not consistently, but I've been writing music since I was 13, 14 years old. And so, yes, I've had plenty of opportunities to do music with other people, other singers and stuff like that. But it was like the same as yours. Like I never felt the right vibe with somebody. And this type of project is something that I've wanted to do since I started writing music. I grew up on Linkin Park. I
Right.
fucking, it's funny, and I've told you this before. I rap, but I'm a fucking metalhead at heart. Like
Right.
if I could choose to do anything, I would be singing in a metal band. That's 100% what I would be doing, but I can't, so I rap.
Right.
But I grew up on that, and
Right.
I've had this idea to do this style of a band slash project for years. Just never
Right.
found the right one. And then
Well,
when
this
I
is
heard
something
you,
that'll also be able to translate live really well.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? And
exactly.
even when I was a kid, like my first tapes were like LL Cool J, Run DMC, the Fat Boys, Salt and Pepper. Like I was listening to all that shit growing up, because, there was something about rap music that drew to me. I found rock, and then all of a sudden Rage Against the Machine come out. And I was
Hmm.
like, okay, there we go. The best of both worlds. And then you had your Limp
Yeah,
Bizkits and your Linkin Parks, and
yeah.
all that other great POD. Like that's
Oh yeah.
all great stuff.
And when I heard you send that track back, the hook, I knew right then and there. I knew right then and there. I was like, that's it. Like
Yeah.
this project, like that's it. There's nobody else I want to do it with. That's it. It blended so fucking well. I tell you, when I heard the hook, I told you it brought tears to my eyes, because what people don't know, for the ones that don't know, this song is dedicated to our brother Chuck LaFlange or Chris Horder. And his thing is, you are loved. you know, and when Chad sent that back, it was just like, wow, like it's like I could feel him. And
Yeah.
it did. It made me misty eyed, man. And I was just like, this, like, fuck yeah. Like I could not be any more happier with it.
Right.
Honestly.
Well, what better way to say thank you? I mean, I was saying that last night when I was talking to Manny Vitale, right? We were talking and it was like, you know, I started my journey in this community on Hard Knocks Talks. You know, yours was the second one I did. From there, I went to Chuck's. There was something about the jiving with Chuck and I, man. Like we had a thing and it was really, really special, man. For the short time we knew each other, we worked well on camera together, you know, and you know, he's the one who really pushed for me to do the things I'm doing in social media. Like I
Right.
just was kind of spitting out the odd thing, you know, like my motivational things that I do in the morning. If think I got something clever, you know, and then he was just like, why aren't you doing this? And he was very relentless. And that's what I loved about him. He'd be calling me up saying like, so when's the podcast coming out? When's the podcast coming out? When's the podcast coming out? Right. And he
Yep.
really pushed that. But not only that, he put me in the presence of you. He put me in the presence of, even though I met you first, he's the one who
Right.
kept me close to everybody.
Yep.
Right. So now we're in this thread, which I love, you know, with everybody. And we're all in this thing where we shoot the shit all day and we keep him alive, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
what other better way to immortalize that man for all the great things he did? Like, you know, you knew him like way longer than I did. And what I knew about him was his whole mission was to make things right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wanted to do right by, you know, he wanted to do more right than he ever did wrong. And that's the message that I always got from Chuck. You know, so when he puts guys like us all in a room together and I'm watching this magic sort of happen, you know, like you can't buy that stuff. You can't write this shit. Like this was all, you know, we're all in this room. We're all in that chat. I'm all in this community because of him. And
Right.
it's you guys today. Like you guys are my biggest community. Like I have my recovery program out here that I follow, the, you know, my meetings that I go to and the people that I'm really close with in those rooms, I'm really close. But to me, what we have in our thread is equally as valid to my recovery and my, you know, my mental health, because I check in with you guys all day. Like I'm talking to you guys more than I'm talking to anyone else in my life right now. And and that's all because of him. So what better way to say thank you
And
than me and you just get down there and do what we do
yeah.
the best and
And again, it was
it-
like perfect timing. You know, like just the way the timing happened, it was just like I just felt that it was all meant to be. You know,
yeah.
even the unfortunate with him being gone, you know, it was just like, man, like, you know, damn well he would be completely satisfied with the outcome.
Yeah. And he was, you know, damn, like I don't think I go a day without thinking about that dude. And yeah, like I sometimes feel like, you know, like I don't believe anything happens by accident, you know, and you guys are all just such an integral part of my day now, you know,
Yep.
and he would have been happy with this and he would have been wondering why it didn't happen sooner. Right.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
So yeah, man, and so I'm really happy with it. I'm looking forward to the more stuff we do. Like I think it's
Yeah.
only going to get better, you know.
Yep. Yeah. So,
I've
you
got
know,
so much music on my plate right now, bro. I'm like I'm overwhelmed but in a good way.
well, that's like me, you know, like I'm dropping singles every 3 weeks, you know,
Yeah, you're killing it.
I got, dude, I got a shit ton lined up. That's the thing. Like sometimes it's
Yeah,
like, damn, I want to drop more sooner, but then I realize I got to keep that pace because, you know, you don't want to do too much too
right.
soon, you know, and so it's like I'm the same way, man. I got song after song after song, and it's like when we drop one song, I'm already thinking, I'm already having to think about the next one that's dropping, you
Right.
know. But
Yeah,
I'm picky, dude. I am so picky when it comes to my music. So
right.
for me to like completely trust you, and you when you just said I got the hook, like I got it, and me just to not even question it and just say bet, that's a lot because you know, again, I'm sure you are the same way with your music and your band and stuff. You get super anal and super picky about what you put out.
Right.
And I just had zero, like, I had zero reservations. I knew 100% that I was like, he's got it. I ain't gonna worry about it. And I don't do that with a lot of people. So that just
Right.
goes to show that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the trust. And I was like, as when I was done recording it and I was waiting. So where I record about an hour and a half from where I am. The studio I
Okay.
go to is out in Sterling, Ontario, right? Which is east, going east from where I am. And I'm an hour and a half east from Toronto. So I'm another hour and a half east, right? So, I did it. And when he was playing it back to me when it was done, he had it cranked, right? And I'm in the studio and it's just loud and he's the one because he knew how much this community means to me. He called me up and he just said, "You know what, man, just come and do it. Don't worry about it. Like don't because I won't charge you for it. Just come out, pay tribute to your friend, you know?"
Right.
And he did that out of the kindness of his heart, and that was really sweet of him. And
Yeah.
I just remember hearing it loud going, and you're messaging me, so how's it going? And I'm going like, I can't wait to send it to you, right? Because the curiosity had to be fucking killing you, right?
Oh yeah, like I was stoked. Like even if I was just like, "Ooh, I just want to hear just even if it's a little bit. I just want to hear what he's cooking up." But I was happy to wait until you actually sent me it complete. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Fuck yeah!" He sent me those files. Like it was like I was like on crack, man. I'm like waiting for the email to come through, and then he sends me the files, and immediately I was like, "Boop boop boop." All right, I played it.
Right.
I was like,
That's how I
"Yes."
get. So even with my own stuff, I'm about 4 songs away from the album being done. Right. And it's like between this, like there's gonna be a lot of music for me this year. And I'm really excited about that. And the cool thing about what you and I are doing, because there's actually instruments involved, right? You can hear it and it'll translate live, which is cool because we're far away. And that's another, it's a thing that's kind of cool about it is we're going to see how this jive's throwing things back and forth. Like you're in New York, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm basically 5.5 hours from you.
Yeah. So it's a
Which
track,
which
right?
I mean,
And
I'm already working on it. Like I told you,
yeah,
I'm I'm gonna work on. I'm coming to Canada. We're gonna make this happen.
yeah, we'll play some
So
shows, you know what I mean? We'll line some things up, you know?
that's the goal.
Just you know what I mean? And I'll come out there and it's just gonna be exciting, So I mean, I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to it. So
Yes. So we
yeah.
tell them about the name we came up with and all that good stuff.
so so right away, this is what I love. So for those of you watching, Jared's a pretty enthusiastic dude when he starts getting into something. And from his podcast and the rest of the way he does everything, it's pretty obvious that there's no real halfway of doing anything with Jared. So after sending him that track and it's like, hey, maybe we should do something. And it was like, boom, what are we going to call it? What kind of shit are we going to do? You got lyrics? He sends me 2 songs. And I'm going, holy shit, okay, man, let's do this. We should probably come up with a name first.
Yeah.
And then, so we were like just texting shit back and forth. And I remember years ago, I had written a song that I never used. It never amounted to anything. It was called Beyond the Reach. And there's something about that I always wanted to use as a band name. Like I actually almost wanted to call Valyear that, right? But my producer talked me into using my last name so people can't fuck with me, right? So
Yeah.
I'm usually against that shit. But that being said, we had thrown a few around, and then in our thread we put a little vote up for everybody. Because Jared, you had some really good ones too, man. There was a couple that I remember going like, oh man, that might be it. I think that's it.
Mhm.
And it was like, it wasn't even like, one just blew up better than the other. It was like, they were close. You know what I mean? Like to me, the way they sounded, like there was a few of them where I'm
Right.
going like, I kind of like that, man, but
Yeah.
they voted on Beyond the Reach and that's what it is. So this project will be called Beyond the Reach. And I'm looking forward to seeing, logos
We
and stuff. Jaybird, we'll get
yes.
Jaybird on
Yep.
some logos.
Yep, we already know, and we don't know what's going to become of it. We don't know,
Yeah.
but what we do know is we're going to take this shit one song at a time, and we're just
Yeah.
going to, if you guys thought that when the lights go out, smacked, just wait until you hear the other stuff, that
I
we're
just
coming
can't
up
see it
with.
getting worse.
Exactly,
You know
exactly,
what I mean?
Well, we
Yeah.
wouldn't be putting it out if it got worse.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
very like I'm one of those people where if I come up if I come up with an idea, I want to start acting on it because a lot
Yeah.
of my life, man, a lot of my life, like, and I think it was the addiction, whatnot, was it was always like, man, yeah, I want to do this, and then I would just sit there on it, and I would just never do anything about it. And
Right.
it was like that complacency. But then I realized, once I got sober and stuff, like, if I'm going to commit to doing something, like, I personally, for me, I needed to immediately start following through, because if not,
Right.
it's never going to happen. Like, we can talk about it, but it's
Right.
never going to happen. And that was like the same with the podcast, like, dude, I sat for 2 years before I did the podcast, because
Right.
it was
I
just one of
almost did
those.
the same thing.
Yeah, it was just one of
Yeah.
those things, and so when we talked about this, it was like this isn't just like some side thing that, like, I just want to fuck
Right.
around with. Like, if I see true potential in it, I want to start doing it. And that's why, like, I don't want to be like pushy on it, but that's why I was
No,
like,
you're
yo, like,
not. You're not.
let's like,
Yeah.
let's start getting the ball rolling, because that's just going to in turn help just it's just all
Yeah.
about staying disciplined and whatnot, and just getting it done.
Well, it's funny because we talked about two. I've talked about two of those things in the last couple of weeks. Like, one, time is valuable, right? My time never used to be valuable. Now it's very valuable, because when I'm giving time to something, I'm taking time from something else because I don't have spare time,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I just, like, for me, I want to put time into this. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's not going to be difficult for me to do that.
Yeah.
So having you being, you know, this, and when I did my podcast with Sean a couple of weeks ago, one of the things when you're in a project with people, you have to be accountable,
Right.
right? If I don't have a deadline, I'm shit. Like, I will
Yeah.
prolong it. Like, finally, like on my book, I just finally got like a deadline. Like, we need this by, because I've been at it for like over a year, and I'm just doing it whenever I feel like it. And then, I was doing the same thing briefly with my music.
Right.
That's, I'm part of the reason why the Valyear stuff isn't done yet, because we didn't give ourselves a deadline, because we wanted to make sure everything was great. And now everything's great, but we didn't have a date. So now I'm just
Right.
like, do, right?
Yeah.
So now there's some pressure because I got to get working on this thing. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll be doing both at the same time. But the thing is
Yeah.
it forces me to do what I need to do to focus on things. So when you send me
Right.
something, I'll be able to sit, and I'm not the kind of musician either. So I find, and I'm not speaking for singers in general, unless you say that we don't, load gear. That's true. But yeah, but a lot of singers, what they do from my experience is they just kind of settle for what fits and what works. And it's like, oh, that fits there. That's cool. I don't do that.
Right.
Like, because to me, when I do that, you know, it's gotta hit hard. There's gotta be a hook there. Because if
Mhm.
I'm just talking over the music in key, what's going to be memorable about that?
Right.
I want to make sure when I'm done, somebody goes, holy shit. Like, love it or hate it, just feel it, you know, and that's how I go.
Do you know how many times I've rewritten shit? Because, like,
Yeah.
I'll go in, I'll write it, I'll record it, and I listen back, and I'm like, no, that's not it. And I'll fucking scrap it, and I'll rewrite it. And I mean, I've done that multiple times before,
Yeah.
like,
Same.
because
I
you
like,
want to put out the
because
best shit possible.
right. Well, what happens too is I'm sitting here in my room and I'm singing along to this recorded thing because, Jeff and Joe have studios in their house. So they record things and send them to me. And so, like, when I'm sitting in front of my computer or my phone, or I'm just singing along with it, for that moment, it seems to work. And then you get into a studio with it and you're going like, whoa, we have a song. Actually, I got to remember what it's called right now. Oh, it's called Psycho. But this song had 5 titles before that, because when it was given to me, I wrote lyrics for it. Or no, sorry, what song? It's not Psycho. See, I can't even remember anymore. I'll tell you when it's done. But anyway, I I just I wrote the lyrics sitting in my room, went to play it live. It sounded like dog shit, right? I rewrote it again. And because of what I was singing, the word, like the title didn't fit anymore. Right.
Yeah.
I had to add some more melody and flow and that time. So by the end of it, I don't even know what it's called anymore. So, it's called
Maybe,
Suffer. It's our newest
okay.
single. It's coming out. It is done. It was
Oh,
called like
yeah.
Leave Me Alone. Before that, it was called Over It. That's right. There was like,
I've
and
done
now
that.
it's like, I love the tune,
Yeah.
but it took me
I've
writing it
done
3 times,
Yep,
you
I've done
know?
that. I've named a song a certain thing, and by the time I'm done rewriting it, it's a completely different name. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just where it is. Maybe one day we can do a Jared Blaine Valyear thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
We
love to have you out on a track. It'd be wicked.
right.
You
Yeah,
know what
man.
I mean?
You guys come up with your heavy metal shit, and then just leave me a verse. I'll pop in, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it, bro. I love metalcore music. Is like that is my shit. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy because people don't think that because I'm a rapper, but like I blast that more than I blast hip hop. And
Yeah.
it's just like that's my thing. Like Kill Switch Engage,
Yeah.
as I lay
Kill Switch is
dying,
the
all that
shit.
remain, like all that shit.
Yeah.
That's my shit, man. And so like I'll definitely get down to that. I love it. I told you I wish I could sing. I so wish I could sing, but I can't.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, maybe
man,
we'll
I want
spend
to
some
fucking
time. We'll get you
sing.
doing some melodies. But that's
Yeah.
funny because all that is that what you call it? Metalcore, Kill Switch,
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
That Remained, Shadows Fall,
Yeah,
Soil
they're
Work.
more metalcore.
Yeah. Out of all that stuff, I remember going through, like, for a long time, there was something about certain names of certain bands that would make me not listen to them.
Okay.
Right. I just was like, I don't know what that name. And like, there was something about certain riffing styles too that I didn't, because I grew up where metal started becoming a parody of itself. Like, and not to take away from the greats like Iron Maiden and all that, but that whole like and all that stuff started sounding really campy to me. So I remember seeing or hearing about bands like Killswitch and things like that, right? And I remember I didn't even give it a chance. I just remember hearing a couple riffs one time, and the guitars in that band are deadly. And now I get it, right? But like at the time, I just hear some like mad riffing, like and I'm going, holy shit! Like I don't know, man, this might be too much for me. And I remember a buddy of mine saying, no, you just need to sit down and listen to it, right? And I put on Alive or Barely Breathing. Is that what the album's called? The first thing that Killswitch did with
Oh,
Jesse.
yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
the
I'm
one with
trying to
My Last
remember.
Serenade on it
Yeah,
and all those
okay.
songs, right? So
Yeah.
I remember putting that on and going like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome, right? This is so good. And hearing him, the lyrics he writes, I mean, if you can't relate to that, you probably don't have a soul, as far as I'm concerned. Like, and then, they go on with Howard, and it was great too. And I love both versions of the band, right?
Right.
And, but I relate more to Jesse's lyrics than I did Howard's,
Have you
right?
listened to Times of Grace, the side
Yes.
project
I
that
was
yeah.
checking that out years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, like and that Jesse's got this, like it's crazy. Like he's definitely got this I don't know, he's got this way with his lyrics, which
Yeah.
which is why I love his shit, like I mean
Yeah.
they just dropped the new single today for off
Oh,
the
yeah.
new album, and I
Oh, I'll
heard
check
that
that
and
out.
I was like, oh fuck yeah, I've been waiting for this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know um
It's funny because, so I was talking about this a couple weeks ago, and it's like, when you think about, technical ability, a lot of people confuse technical ability with vibe or talent, or you know what I mean? And it's like, I always watch bands, so I'll use like Black Sabbath and Van Halen and bands like that. When they replace their singers, they always find a technically better singer. What it does, like, I like both. I like the two versions of Sabbath. I love the Dio version of Sabbath. I love the Ozzy Sabbath, right? But the Ozzy Sabbath is the shit to me. It's where it began. It's the real shit. The other version helped them carry on, and it's amazing. But I come
yeah,
back to the early stuff always, right? And the
right.
same thing happened with Van Halen. And it's kind of the same thing with Killswitch Engage. Like, I don't think anybody in that band will argue that Howard Jones There's something I think he sounds like he's been trained vocally,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Whereas someone like Jesse, you can't fuck with that vibe, right? Like his whole vibe is what attracts me to that. You know what I mean? And so when I hear Jesse sing, I feel that shit. And I have my moments with Howard too, but it's just not the same,
what
and
I
that's not to
what I
take
loved
away
about
from either version.
right, what I loved about Howard was he's a black metal singer, and I was just like, fuck yeah, dude, like that's crazy,
Yeah, like he's like the Dio of Black Sabbath, right?
I
He's
was
like the
just like,
Dio,
man.
and Jesse's like the Ozzy. Jesse's the David Lee Roth. He's the,
But then
the
but
only
then you
time I felt that worked. I don't know if you guys know these guys in America, but I Mother Earth, right?
mm,
I Mother Earth was a band that were pretty big here. I think they experienced some international success, and they put out their first album and it was like incredible, right? And then they started getting kind of experimental and their albums didn't move me as much, right? And then they parted ways with their singer and they got a guy named Brian Byrne. And Brian, to me, it's very rare that the second singer in a band blows me away the way this guy did. And
yeah,
even so, I would see him live and he would do the old stuff incredible. And then I loved the way he sang on albums, right? And I ended up loving his vocals a lot more than the original singer, right? Now they're back with their original singer as well. But to me, it's just like, when somebody does something that ignites a feeling in me, that is where I gravitate. So back to
right,
Jesse, like when Jesse sings lyrics, I can relate to them. I feel like I've been there. I
yeah.
also struggle with mental health. I struggle with addiction. I don't know if he struggled with addiction, but I know he's very, very open about his mental health issues, right?
He
And
did. He when he was on our podcast, he had an issue with drinking, and
right,
that was his thing, Now it wasn't like this crazy overbearing type shit, but like it was still an issue, um,
right,
and that's why I wanted him on the podcast was because I always wanted him on the podcast for as long as I could remember.
he's been
I just
manifesting that for a long time.
Dude, I remember telling you about it too. Like, yo, I'm gonna get it. Like, I'm in the works, and then dude, it was like 2 weeks later, and I was like, boom, got him.
I remember the
You know,
message, dude. You're not gonna fucking believe this. I was like,
right?
yeah,
I
he
had,
did
I
it.
had to, I had to give a shout out to my buddy Lyman Good. He's a pro UFC fighter. He lives in New York City. He was on our podcast. We became super, super close. We talked daily, and he was on Jesse's podcast. They did their podcast for a little bit, and Jesse knew, or Lyman knew my love for Killswitch and Jesse, and he hooked it up. He reached out to Jesse, and Jesse's like, "Yo, give him my info," and I reached out to Jesse, and Jesse's like, "Yep, let's do it."
That's amazing. But
And
that
now
shows
we
you
keep it,
the
and now we
humbleness, right?
exactly, and now we keep in touch. Like like I don't talk to Jesse all the time, but like we'll shoot each other messages back and forth,
Yeah.
But I remember it was like the next week after having Jesse on the podcast, finding out, that he lives here in New York, and he lives about 4 hours from me. And it was one
Right.
of those things where it was like they were throwing some local event in their hometown, and we were like, boom, we're gonna be there. And Jesse didn't think we were gonna show up, and me and Brianna show up, and he's like, yo, like I didn't expect you guys. And I was like, listen, told you we were coming, but it was really cool. Like just to throw that really quick on the side, it was really cool. It was like one of the highlights of my life in recovery. Because here
Right.
I am, like that's shit I can never do in active addiction. And
Right.
now it's like here I am in recovery, and I built this platform. But now I have, and I don't want to call the guy my idol, but like this is like now I have somebody who I looked for years, looked up to, and absolutely loved the
Yeah.
music. And now I'm hanging out with them, and now
Right.
and now we communicate, and that's not to like brag or anything, but it's just like, bro, I would have never been able to get that in active addiction. So to be
It's the
able
gifts of
to,
recovery,
it's awesome,
right?
bro, and I
And
love
that
it.
was the same thing with Head Welsh, right?
Bro,
Like
you still
having that
never told me the
opportunity was
story.
like, was next level, bro. Like,
Yeah.
and you know what's funny is somebody said to me, like, were you starstruck? And it was like, well, I've met Ray Luzier before, their drummer. Like, I met him couple of years back, and I've met, like, don't get me wrong, I don't mean this like I'm so cool. I just mean I've met a lot of famous people, right, throughout the touring I did when I was younger. Like, I got to know a lot of pretty famous guys, but you know, Head would never have allowed anybody to be starstruck around him. He's the most down to earth dude I ever met. You know, and my whole hangout with him had nothing to do with music.
You got to tell us. You got to tell us a story because I just
well,
see a
I'll tell
picture.
you.
I
So
see a picture. I see a picture one day with you, and I'm like, I remember messaging you like, oh, what the fuck?
and the
How did
dude's
you
wearing a
do that?
Valyear shirt. Like, how cool is that, right? So
Yeah.
But so I was looking for an apartment, and I had reached out to a guy because this guy had a basement apartment right around the corner from where I was living, right? And he called me up, and he sends me a message, and he's got a very thick Russian accent, and it's my buddy. He's my friend now. His name's Konstantin, and he said to me, he goes, he looks at my profile, and you don't have to look far past my profile to know my spiritual beliefs, my music taste, things like that. And he goes, you know, it says on your profile, I notice you're a Christian. And I said, yeah, I believe in God. Right. And he says, you know, that's one of your selling points for this apartment. Right. And I start laughing because he's not looking for anybody to mess his shit up. Right. Not that a Christian couldn't do that to him, but I mean, you try to find one in good standing at least. Right. So, so that being said, I went to go see the apartment, but that very day I quit my job. For moral reasons. I realized some things were going on at my job that were not cool. I couldn't move past it morally, so I had to leave. And it wasn't like I could just keep enduring it and find another job. I had to quit on the spot. Like, I was like, I'm out. I cannot be attached to this anymore. Right? These people are not who I thought they were. So that being said, I leave after quitting my job, and I go to look at this apartment. I'm going like, I should probably just call the guy and cancel. Right. And my friend who was taking me to see it, she says to me, well, just go have a look. Like, you don't know how long you're going to be unemployed. You got money in the bank. Like, you should be all right. And I was like, yeah, you know what? The guy seems really nice. Maybe I'll just go see what he's saying. And I go into this apartment, and I walked in, and he walks out to greet me. And I said, look, bro, here's the truth. I'm just going to be straight with you. I just quit my job. Like, I don't think I can rent this apartment. So I just wanted to look you in the eye and just tell you that, you know, I don't have a job, so I probably can't take the place. And he looked at me, he goes, that's really unfortunate. He goes, because I have a really good feeling about you. He goes, well, I'm showing the place anyway. He goes, come on in. Right. So I'm looking at this place. This place is really nice. Right. I really like the place. And we're talking. He goes, oh, I did something else too. He goes, I creeped your music. And I said, you creep my music. I got to be honest, he didn't look like a dude that would creep my kind of shit. Right. Yeah. And he's not. Like, he's actually a really trained guitar player, like really great guitar player, but this kind of guy with the acoustic guitar. Right. And brilliant musician. I find out later how brilliant this guy's music is. And so we're talking, and he's like, so you play heavy music? He goes, kind of like Korn, eh? And I go, well, I don't know that I sound like Korn, but I'll take it. You know, like, I'm cool with that. And he goes, have you ever heard of a guy named Brian Head Welch? And I go, yeah, I have. And as a matter of fact, I go, Korn was like my favorite band for many, many years. And he goes, well, sometimes we do some Christian outreach and stuff with him. If he's ever in town, would you want to meet him? And I was like, of course I would. But people say shit like that to me all the time. I know this guy. Next time they're in town, let's hang out. Right. And I'm like, yeah. So I was polite, and I was just like, sure. Yeah. You know, that'd be really cool. So he messages me. It was, you know, I give him a hug actually when I left. I just liked him that much. I give him a hug. I'm like, thanks so much, bro. It was really cool talking to you. We talked about music. We talked about faith. The dude was a really interesting cat, you know, and I'm just like, how do I meet these people? Right. This is cool shit. And about 2 days later, he sends me a voice message, and it says, hey, Chad, you know, I really hope you find a job because I really want to rent you this place. You know, I have a good feeling about you, but I'm going to have to move forward if I don't hear back from you, kind of thing, if you haven't found a job. So I just messaged him back and just was like, I haven't found a job yet, but I appreciate it, man. But do you like find someone to take that apartment? And he was like, I will, but in the meantime, I hope you find a job, because if I don't rent it, I'd sooner give it to you. So I looked down at my phone like the next day, and there's another voice message. I'm like, in my head, I'm going, I don't have another apartment, or I don't have another job yet. So like, I didn't even listen to the message, right? And I was driving to church on the Sunday, and I see this man, Constantine, and his daughter crossing the street. And I yell, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" And he goes, check your message, right? And I check the message, and it says, "Hey, Corn's in town on Wednesday. Do you want to go to where he's staying, and we'll meet him and say hey?" And I was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Is this happening right now?" So I look, and they were coming to Toronto. They were coming to the Budweiser stage on Wednesday, and I'm like, "I'm in," right? So I'm, he's like, "I'll be in Toronto. I'll tell you where to go. I'll meet you there," and I I went. I was just like, what the fuck, right? Like, worst case scenario is I get there, but it was nothing like I expected. It was like, I walk in, and there was a few close friends of his, and I think I'm not speaking for anybody, but what I gather is where we were is a really close friend of his, and that's obvious. But I think that's where he goes to just kind of chill out.
Yeah.
He's not Head the rock star. He's Brian, and he hangs out, and we're just sitting there eating pizza and like sushi and shit. And in my head, I'm going like, this is my life today.
Right.
This is my world today. Because
Yeah.
any other, famous people I met in my life, it was, for the time I was playing the show with them, or, the time I would get drunk with them, or the time I would get high with them. And I drank and partied with a lot of famous people. And I don't
Yeah.
remember a lot of my times with them. Right.
Mm.
So this was just some next level shit for me, and the cool thing about it was, like I said, it was just very normal, and how humble the dude was, because he asked about me. He
Right.
wanted to know about me, and not just like, hey, I'm Head from Corn, I'm going to tell you all this stuff. Sitting
Mhm.
with him was just like sitting with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we talked a lot about God, man, and our faith is, we both walk really tight with God, and having that conversation was like next level. And so as I'm, as the days progressing, like I was there for a few hours and just talking, and I got up, and I was like, I felt like, I didn't want to overstay. And I get up, and I'm like, "Okay, man, well, thank you." And I give him a hug, and I'm like, "Appreciate you hanging out with me, bro." And he looked at me, he goes, "What, you're not coming to the show?" And I go, "What?" He goes, "Well, yeah, these guys told me you were coming to the show, so I got you a ticket." He goes, "It's at the booth." He goes, "Just, I'll see you there." And I was like, "What?" Right? Guess I'm going to see Corn. So I end
Yeah.
up, going to Corn, and then afterwards we went and hung out with him in his room, and it was like a Wednesday, like no big deal, just sitting here hanging with Corn,
That's sick.
and it was so fucked up to me, but it felt very natural,
Right.
because he's such a humble, cool dude, and funny as shit. The guy's hilarious. But not only that, he just, I had brought some shirts for some of the guys there, and he's like, "Can I put that on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man. Are you kidding me?" And I go, "But you got to do me a solid." He's like, "Yeah, whatever." And I'm like, "The guys in my band will never let me live it down if I don't get a picture of you in that shirt." Right. And he was just like, he's like, "No problem, man." He got up and he put the shirt on, and, and yeah, I just hung out there till like 2:30 in the morning, and I had a job interview, or I probably would have been there still, but he didn't make me feel unwelcome. Like, just so kind. And
Yeah.
he said to me, he talked about, this is a really profound moment for me with him, was he asked me, what brought me to Christ, and what brought me to God, and my drugs of choice, and we talked about my journey, right? And I said, and how God works in my life today. And he said to me, I said to him, I go, "Well, Brian," I said, "how cool is this that you were one of my musical idols from the time I was 18? And I'm talking like worship the ground Corn walked on." I said, "And now here we are sitting, and our relationship has nothing to do with music."
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
fucking wild, bro.
Dude, like, but this is my life today in recovery.
Yeah.
And I'm very blessed and very grateful because I don't imagine that's the last time I'm going to hear from that dude. You know,
All right.
I got to go play a show with Mark Rizzo from Soulfly, right? We opened for him a few weeks ago. What does the
Yeah.
guy do? And I love him for that, Mark. If you're watching, man, bless you. But he put a shirt on and played on stage in my Valyear shirt.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. Like they don't have to do those things.
No.
They
Yeah.
don't do that, and they're not trying to win me over. You know what I mean? So when they do kindnesses like that, and another cool thing is, I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you this or not, but I guess I'm gonna. Is Mark is actually going to be playing a lead on the newest Valyear track, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
sick.
and that's that is my life today, right? And
Yeah.
these are the things that keep happening because I keep doing the next right thing in my recovery.
Yep.
And I just keep having these moments where if I to say I'm blessed is such an understatement.
Mm-hmm.
My life today is so incredibly peaceful. And
Yep.
even my worst moments are not terrible.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. It's cool, man. No, it's fucking badass, just the shit that we get to do in recovery, like, you know, me with Jesse and you with Head, and just with
yeah,
Mark and all these things, and it's just like, dude, it's awesome. Like, like, I believe believe it or not, it's just something that's been like under wraps. But Jesse and I we're working on something,
oh,
like he's been doing a lot of guest vocals on some stuff like that. So
good.
so I reached out to him on something, and we're working something out, like,
Right,
and I'm like, yo, this is like the biggest thing in my whole entire career. Would be fucking amazing.
right.
Um,
And that's
but
what
I
I mean. And
remember,
now we're all indirectly linked. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
I think you and
now
I,
you're somehow involved with Mark Rizzo and I'm involved with
yeah,
Jesse Leach because
right,
we're going to end up somewhere like this, you know?
absolutely, and then now, you got us. Now we're working on our shit.
Right.
It's fun. So we already got the second. We already got the second song that we're working on. It's funny because when I say I work fast, I shot Chad over the instrumental, and I said, "This is this." I said, "You pick the topic, but this is the next instrumental." And you shot me back with the name, and you can say it if you want, but you shot me back with the info and the name and said, "Let's make it about this." And
Yeah.
I think like within an hour, I was like, "Yo, I'm almost done writing."
Yeah, I know. And I
Oh,
was like, holy shit, I
and
haven't even listened to the whole thing yet.
you're like, man, I that's sick, but I can't sit with it till Friday. And I was like, nah, bro, like that's all
Yeah.
good. But
What I'm going to
I'm
do is I'm going to have somebody, what I'll do is I'll try to install some kind, like I'm not tech savvy. Even my podcast, I don't have a microphone. I just use what, you know what I mean?
right.
I don't even know where to begin with that shit. And like Chuck said, just plug in and go. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. Right. But it's the same thing with like music. I don't know how to work the software. But what I want to find is a program where I can just put a rough vocal on so you can kind of hear where it's going. You know what I mean? And that's what I'll do. But we'll talk more about that.
I say, I got you, bro. I got you. I
Yeah.
get you. We'll talk about it but I got you 100%. I do all of my own shit. So
Yeah.
the only thing I don't do is produce the instrument. I find it, I buy it,
Yeah.
but I mix, I master, I record, I do everything myself. I
Yeah.
do it here. I have a whole booth, and I have a closet that used to be my podcast closet, which is now my studio booth. I got a booth mounted to the wall. I got
Right.
foam everywhere. Like, so I do it all
Yeah.
myself. So
I
I
finally
and I
got a room too where I have access to like, my podcast, whatever. If I got to come
yeah,
down and I wouldn't say scream. There's other people that live in the
right.
house, but
Yeah.
I could get away with some things. That's for sure.
But I got you. We'll talk about it because yeah,
Yeah,
there's
man.
there's programs, even programs I use, that are fairly inexpensive. You pay for the year or something like that. But
Yeah.
like you said, even just to lay a rough vocal track down on it, and
Yeah.
and then but
And I'll
that's the
go
one
see.
thing. That's the one thing. Like, I am grateful. Like, I don't have to pay for studio time, but I do have to pay for the license on the instrumental.
Right.
And that could cost money. I have to pay for the instrumental. I got to pay for whatever the license is. I have to pay for artwork. I have I
Yeah.
got, I got Jason that makes stuff here and there, I pay the man for his time, and so, it's still those things, I still got to come out of pocket on stuff, but
Yeah.
we do it because, but
We love
I've
it.
got it, but I'm grateful that I have, I don't have to pay for studio time.
Right. Well, I'm pretty
But
blessed with Valyear. Like we break even a lot of times. You know what I mean? And like
yeah,
none of us are doing it full time. Like we all have day jobs. If we were doing it full time, we would probably be making a living. Right.
right.
We're at an
Yeah.
age like I'm not about to go on a run through the United States in a van smelling Joe socks. Like I'm not interested in that today. Small little treks
Right.
is where it's at for me. Right. I
Yeah.
don't, a fart is not funny in a van. I don't care who you are. Right.
It's
So
like we're
I'm
at the
not into
age,
it, dude.
we're at the age where, yeah, because even then, I'm 35 years old too. Like I'm not about to. Again, I'm not all about that. But like with us being where we're at, on the East Coast, in the North, like there's still a lot of shit we can hit. Like for us locally,
Right.
I'll come to Canada. We do some runs in Canada. When you're able to come to across the border, you come to the States. We do some runs in New York. Like
Yeah, I
we'll make it
just
happen.
started my record suspension process. So I'll be in the
Yeah.
States in no time. But no, but the
Yeah.
cool thing about the States is everything's really close together.
Right.
Canada is like this,
Yep.
right? So the
I go
States,
to.
that's why like back in the day when you still sold CDs, bands would do little treks across the States and sell enough CDs to, you know what I mean, to fund their career. We don't
Yeah.
have that luxury today. And that's where the music business is really failing because, in order to make $100 on Spotify, you have
Do you
to,
know how
go
many
ahead.
streams you got to get? No, I'm
Yeah.
just.
Like
I said,
like
you
a
know,
100,000 or something like that, or
it's
10,000
crazy.
streams for $100.
Yeah, it's like 0.3 to 0.5 cents a stream is what you're getting.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it's like, man, I made like $3 and some change from the very first song that I ever did, which was Hail Mary. And
So, well, you figure like when all that Napster shit was going on and everybody was pissed off at Metallica and it was like, look what happened. Right. But, I remember when that came out. So check this out. This will fucking blow your mind. So when I was listening to the Deftones, right? They had their first album out and they had their second album out, right? And together collectively, those albums had sold about 120,000 copies. Now, 120,000 physical copies is enough to keep a career going, right?
right,
So they were able to still maintain a living, be able to go out on tour, right? Now, when all the downloading of music came out, they were recording The White Pony, their third album, right? Before that album was even finished, it hadn't been mixed, it hadn't been mastered, it got leaked. It had been downloaded over 350,000 times, right? If that had been 350,000 copies of their album, that's a career for some bands.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And now like 350,000 people probably didn't buy that album. Or maybe a few bought it just to have it, but they already
right,
heard it, and that's what it is now. Like I miss the days of a full album. You
right.
know, I don't remember the last time I popped on a full album. One, music is just coming out. Like everybody and their uncle is writing music, and it doesn't matter
Mhm.
where they're doing it. When I grew up, there was like, three guys in my high school that were in bands, and two of them were in mine. Right.
Yeah,
So, now everybody can do something on a computer, and it sort of starts losing its charm. Right. And he, now, first of all, we're in an abundance of music, so it's all just getting oversaturated. And
right,
secondly, when you're just shitting out songs and shitting out albums, how good is it? You know,
right.
and it's like there's no heart and soul in that. It's like everybody still has, and fuck, social media made it even worse. Is
Mhm.
everybody has this delusion that they're just going to be this rock star in the limos, and like that's just not a thing really anymore, man. Like maybe for some really big, like I don't even think Slipknot's living like that, you know. And
Yeah.
and the only way you're making money is touring.
Yeah,
right?
because
And
you're not
merch.
making anything really digitally. You're not really making really any,
No.
like you said, your merch and like your ticket sales, the percentage that you get really is where you're gonna make money at.
Yeah.
Jesse, I remember Jesse was telling me when they go on tour, like he was saying, like sometimes it'll cost them like 50 grand to out of their pocket to go tour,
Yeah.
he's like, people think because we're, and they're in one of the most famous metalcore bands out there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they still got to pay out of their pocket. Sometimes they don't even break even on tour. And that's what
Right.
he was saying, like he's lucky, like with his wife, like he's got to pay if they go overseas. Yeah, his shit's paid for, but he's got to pay for his wife to go overseas, like it's not like this grand
Yeah.
thing where they're just getting paid millions of dollars, this, that, and the third.
That's not happening anymore. And now, when they were signing 19-year-old kids and giving them multi-million-dollar record deals, I mean, those days are long gone. And advances and like, I mean, they've realized how lucrative the business is. And
Yeah.
that's what they do. And I watched it happen early on too. Like I would watch a really cool band break. So we'll use like Alice in Chains, for instance. So
Mhm.
Alice in Chains get signed. Alice in Chains, when they come out, nobody sounded like them. Nobody sounded like them, right? Then they start breaking big. Things start happening for them. They start getting big tours. All of a sudden, everybody realizes how good they are, right? And
Mhm.
now the record label's going, well, we need more bands that sound like this. Now the problem is by the time you find a band, you develop them, you start honing it to sound more like Alice in Chains. By then it's what, a year, maybe 2 years, and this band's already done its course. People are already kind of bored of this because not only that, the bands that already did kind of sound like them are getting signed. So now
Mhm.
there's about 20 bands that sound like Alice in Chains, and we're bored of it. And that's what happened with all that new metal stuff at the time. And that's why for years I didn't even listen to Korn. Not because I didn't like them, but because everything sounded like them. And I and
Right.
I shouldn't, maybe not everything sounded like them, but everything was trying to sound like them. Because
Yeah.
you had all the bands that came out at that time. So you had the Korn, the Cold Chambers, the Limp Bizkits, and that all came out at the same time. None of those bands sounded the same, but they all got lumped in as the same sounding type band,
Mhm.
right? But then every other band tried to have that thing, and every band was going on about how they wanted to die, and nobody was having fun anymore, and it just killed hair metal, which that's kind of good. Right? There was some good stuff in that era, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't know, man. I just think that there's not a lot of soul in a lot of music anymore, and there's bands
Right.
that just know how to show up and dial it in, and I've never been that singer. Like I wish sometimes that I was, because maybe I would have made some more money. But
Right.
my soul is in my music, and anything you listen to by me, it's real. Because I've
Yep.
never made a dime. I've never went into debt, but I've never made a dime.
Right. Yeah,
So
I contemplated doing an album. I told you before, like my original goal when I started this last wave of writing was, I'm gonna do an album. And then the more I started thinking about it, I was just more of like, you know, maybe that's not the smartest idea right now, and that's when I was like, all right, let me release singles probably for the next year,
yeah,
get some traction, get my name back out there, get play some shows down the third. And then I can see about doing an album. So now it's all singles at this point, dropping singles,
yeah.
and then we
Well,
have our
we're on the fence
project.
right
And
now with the same thing. Like I don't
yeah,
know. We have an album's worth of material, but do
yeah,
we want to put out a whole album? Like we have artwork done for an album, but we could also put out singles. We have enough artwork that we could just be putting it out as singles as we're
yeah,
finished, right? Do we want to wait another few
yeah.
months? Or do we want to start
Right.
keeping fresh in people's minds, right?
Right. Well, see, what steered me away from the album process was, I didn't want to have to like narrow myself down to a specific, because albums, a lot of times they kind of narrow it down into certain topics, this, that, the third, and
Yeah,
I didn't want to do that. Like, bro, I have some music coming that's gonna be like left field. Like it's gonna be,
sweet.
like, we got some recovery stuff, we got some mental health stuff, and then we have just some like fuck you type shit, like this is me, this is what I am type deal, and then
Right.
and so I don't want to like narrow and box myself into this little box just
Yeah.
for an album. I want to be able to, like, if I want to drop a fucking metal song tomorrow and then next week drop a freak straight gangster hardcore song, like I want to do that. I don't want to like, oh, I can't do that because my album is based on this, and that's where I'm at now, like I
Yeah.
want to be me. I just want to just be me, and I want to write what I write and write what I feel and drop what I want to drop. That's why I'm independent. That's why I have
Right.
that's why BAM Entertainment, anyone that doesn't know what BAM is by any means necessary,
Right.
and that is my that is a play off of something that we're working on, Operation BAM, that a couple of us are working on for a nonprofit, but
Right.
that is my independent, that's me, that's my brand, that is what I label everything as on my music. It's all copyright BAM
Right.
Entertainment. So that's just me. And we had on a couple weeks ago, where I'm editing the episode, but we had on Jerry Robinson, and he signed with Tech Nine with Strange Music,
Mhm.
and we had him on the show, and it was a good conversation. We were talking, and he was like, he's like, you got to like build your brand before you drop your music type shit,
Yeah.
and like that's what we're doing. Like, so his brand, is FBA, which is famous by association, and then he has all his shit he drops, even though he signed to Strange Music. It's all under the FBA management type link, and that's
There's a
kind of what
lot
we're
of red
doing.
tape, eh? Like there's
There
always
is,
some
and
under,
so
yeah, and nothing's just straightforward anymore. And people always want to
right.
find a way to get their claws in it,
Yeah,
right?
and that's why we got to do it. So like we got our shit. I'm very happy. I'm curious to see where it's gonna go.
Yeah, it's going to be
And man,
exciting.
I think we can do some damage, bro. I really do. I think we can.
I think we're gonna.
I think I think this is something that we can like really hit, and
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, anybody in the comments, even if you're watching on playback, I dropped the YouTube link to When the Lights Go Out.
yeah.
So check it out when you guys get a chance. Listen to it, and hopefully, Chad and I will have the next song.
Very soon.
I pretty much have my shit already done, which I'm gonna start recording, but
It's
no
all
rush,
up to him
Chad.
now.
No rush. Take your time.
You just put it right on me, eh,
Not
motherfucker?
like, oh, Chad, by the way, you have exactly 3 weeks. No, no, no. I mean,
God damn it! God damn it!
no, I want it to come out when it does. Because you
It
still
will
got
be
your
good.
music, you
Yeah,
still got yours. I still got my music. So this is just something that in between our own drops, we
it'll
work
be
on
good.
it.
It'll be done in a timely
Exactly.
fashion.
Exactly. So anybody that's watching, that's listening, be on the lookout. And then Chad and I are going to do some stuff behind the scenes with trying to get some logos made up and trying to get the brand out there and see what
Yeah,
we can
man.
do.
It's gonna
But
be fun.
we got a video that I'm putting together for When the Lights Go Out.
Yes.
That'll be dropping this week. Obviously, with us being in 2 different countries, we couldn't film it together, but I'm editing it
We're the
to do justice. So.
we're like the new Can-Am connection.
Yeah, we gonna make it happen. So, man, I don't know. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you. I'm
Yeah.
grateful that we met each other and that we're on this road together. And um, I wish that Chuck could be with us today, but
Mhm.
I know he is with us. But,
Is, yeah. And I'm grateful for all those things too, man.
yeah,
I love my life today, even at its worst moments, I'm really
yeah,
grateful that today I have tools that allow me to get through the hard times. And I got
right,
people like you guys that get me through the hard times.
yeah. No, I agree.
I
I
know I could
agree.
call any of
So,
you guys in a heartbeat.
100%. I
Yeah.
agree.
Thanks, Chuck.
Yes, thank you, Chuck. Yeah. Man, you got anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Not too much, man. I'm just going to go do my thing. I got some music to work on. and thanks for having me on again, Jared. And I'll be in touch with you later on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks
Anyone that's
everybody for watching, man, and caring
yes,
about what we're doing. I appreciate
yes,
that.
we love you guys, and until next time, signing off.
Peace.
in this. Reckon